Welcome back to another night of Shtick with Koolfrogg. It's an interesting night. There's lots of strange, different news that's going on. I've been digging around for the better part of today and yesterday, trying to find some interesting stuff to actually speak of. And you know, you can see the title. It says "RHESSI re-entry." So really, what's happening is there's a satellite that's supposed to be re-entering the atmosphere. I know we kind of hit on this earlier today, and I had Grim with me actually speaking of such a thing. You can see here it's according to the time frame due to re-enter the atmosphere within the next 45 minutes or so. I did actually look around to see if there was anything about a reentry prediction from aerospace.org to see if they had anything different. They've actually changed it again. They're actually predicting it to actually re-enter within that 45 minutes plus or minus 2 hours. Well, obviously not minus the 2 hours because we're actually going on uh that time frame. Caitlin, hey beautiful. Good to see you. Good to see us. Glad you're here. Kind of an interesting ordeal when it comes down to this particular spacecraft looking at re-entering atmosphere. It has a potential, though 75% of the land space is water, to actually hit land. We were talking earlier between myself and Grim, and we were trying to figure it out. Grim was anyway. He's pretty smart when it comes to this stuff, whatever this kind of stuff that he knows. He assumed that it would actually hit somewhere between the Pacific Ocean and Central America. That most people would not actually have an issue with wherever this is actually going to come through. Hey, 357, good to see you. Glad you're here. Talking trash and truth. What's up, dude? Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. We're gonna actually cover more than just this. This is just something as you can see, clocks ticking down about 40 minutes until re-entry into the atmosphere. Um, I've looking around, I really couldn't find too much more of anything else that was actually like no live video or anything. Like nobody was like waiting for this, could see it. None of this is so. It's really interesting to see where this would actually be. And for whatever reason, I'm going to refresh this to see if I can't get the satellite image. Where is it? Okay. It's apparently not on the map. That's fun. Wherever it decided to actually, it was actually showing, projected, where it was actually at. And they're doing updates. Oh, look at that. They changed it to 25 minutes. Ooh, that's fun. Live updates right from their side. Love it. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. We're going to pay attention to that. We'll, as we go through here, real quick, it looks like uh, Beautifully Inappropriate says, "Welcome to the Frog Army." It looks like you actually have that next caller. So it- pretty sure that's not. I really don't know. Is that just your? This is a new membership, is it not? Yeah, this is a new membership. Absolutely. Thank you, dear. Awesome. And what else we got on here? So talking trash and truth, she actually used hers. It actually says booyah for her member for 2 months and then gifted 5 Koolfrogg memberships. Thank you so much. That is awesome. Looks like Bubbles picked up one of those. I know who you are. Christopher Hennessy picked up one. TV Flair picked up one. Janie Sorrell and Danielle all pick up Koolfrogg memberships. Welcome to the Frog Army. Thank you so much. That's awesome. So I'm not sure what this is. We're waiting for re-enter. I'm so out of the loop. Sorry. It's okay. So basically, what this is RHESSI. Uh, um, oh wow, okay. My computer decided to actually just sort of slow it down and potentially took a. It's not happy with me right now. it's I got a bunch of websites that are all refreshing themselves. Basically, what this is it's a satellite that's actually re-entering the atmosphere after about 20 years of being in commission. They did decommission it within the last few years, and they're actually projecting a re-entry. Now, earlier today, like I was saying, is Grim was doing some looking and did some math on it, and he assumed that it would re-enter between somewhere in the Pacific Ocean and Central America, that the most of the world would be okay. Now, for most of the day, this had actually shown a little blop, a blurb of whatever going from side to side around the world. Yes, it's not flat; it's round around the world. And by the time it would make it, now all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're gonna go live, and it's like not there, but it's still showing a re-entry of what the next 22 minutes. Um, I'm gonna keep this up in the background here or whatever, so that way I have it. I do have a bunch of other news articles that actually cover. Eventually, we will do some Rumble. Rumble is live at this moment for all of you that like that Rumble side of things. We will actually bump over to there eventually and cover some exclusive stuff that we can't cover here. It should be very interesting. Just kind of checking to see if they're not updating an estimated risk of 1 in 2,467. So I mean, they're still throwing that same risk assessment at it, saying it has the potential of actually hitting land, which could actually hit, the way it sounded earlier, that it could hit a human, and it's like, well, yeah, if nobody's paying attention and you're sitting somewhere and it re-enters the atmosphere and it decides to actually come bustling through at any speed whatsoever, you could cause some damage. Now, they're actually expecting most of it to actually burn off, but they're actually expecting some of it to actually still stay intact after re-entering the atmosphere and actually coming and hurtling towards the Earth as we speak. So it's kind of fun, kind of interesting. Don't really know what to expect from it. Breakup happened. I'm assuming it did. Like I said, I do have a couple other articles out here. Let's see here. Let's stop that screen for the moment. I see Grimm's here. He's like, breakup happened. Yeah, I'm assuming that it would have anyway. Um, for the most, they were still saying that there was, potential for other things to, come hurtling through the earth or whatever if it didn't break up completely. Um, which I'm pretty sure, being that you actually were this is brought to your attention earlier this morning, that it's something that stayed in the back of your mind for the most of the day. So this is a defunct 660-pound NASA satellite is set to tumble uncontrollably back to Earth after spending 2 decades studying the sun from our orbit. NASA's Ralvin Ramity High Energy Solar Spectroscopic Imager, RHESSI, satellite will hurtle through the Earth's atmosphere at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, within the next 20 minutes is basically the way it's actually saying. So, April 19th, plus or minus 16 hours. Now, this says plus or minus 16 hours according to this particular article. I actually did go and find another screen that actually shows. I'm going to actually do this another way. Go this way. It shows, this re-entry prediction. So then here you go. Here's this um 1700 hours, 1737 Pacific. So then that's like 20 minutes ago, plus or minus a 2 hour window. So they've reduced that window from a plus or minus 11 to a plus or minus 2 from this morning. It still hasn't said that it's actually re-entered. It's still actually saying that it's out there, which is really kind of strange that it's saying it's out there. Though when I look at this map, you can still see this map here. Whatever is showing a re-entry of 18 minutes. You can see they actually got some other stuff going on in the screen. See if you can't get. So it's actually given some elevations, directions, declines, slants, ranges, velocities. 7.810 kilometers per second. That's pretty quick. It's pretty quick. So I mean, it's hurtling towards Earth as we speak. Hold on here. I got a message from somebody. I don't know who this is. Oh, okay. So I see you, Graham. I see you. Breakup happened. I really don't see anything that's actually saying that it actually did break up and that it occurred, because as they're showing that it's re-entered, um, or it hasn't quite re-entered the atmosphere quite yet. Let's go back to this article here. So, a bulk of the dead satellite, which examined solar eruptions from 2002 until it was decommissioned in 2018, is expected to burn up while passing through the atmosphere. NASA has said that it's not disclosing where the surviving debris will land. The risk of harm coming to anyone on Earth is low, approximately 1 in 2,467. NASA officials wrote in a blog post on Monday. RHESSI was launched in low Earth orbit by a Pegasus XL rocket in 2002. The satellite uses spectrometer that detected X-rays and gamma rays, high energy waves from the sun, and largely blocked by Earth's atmosphere to capture data on eruptions from the sun and from solar flares and coronal mass ejections. By observing more than 100,000 X-ray flashes, RHESSI documented solar flares ranging from minuscule nanoflares to gigantic superflares, and even made improved measurements of the sun's shape. The satellite is just one of many potentially hazardous pieces of space junk that have been made headlines over tumbling uncontrollably out in orbit. Four of China's Long March FB boosters, the workhorses of the country's growing space program, fell to Earth between 2020 and 2022, raining debris down on the Ivory Coast, Borneo, and the Indian Ocean. In 2021 and 2022, debris from falling SpaceX rockets smashed into a farm in Washington state and landed on a sheep farm in Australia. So it's not uncommon for these things to actually hit land. They have hit land before. It is something that is has the potential of happening. All the space junk will crash to Earth eventually. That could greatly be from what Grim was saying earlier. Is a lot of it that's actually further out from the low Earth orbit, whatever. Probably wouldn't. It would probably stay out where it is because it won't have the ability to actually come back. Is the way he was saying it. Now, I could be wrong. I'm just going off of what I was told. I really don't know. Hey, Vicky, how you doing, dear? Good to see you. Um, Space agencies around the world try to keep tabs on more than 30,000 largest pieces of junk, but many of these pieces of debris are simply too small to monitor. Space junk isn't just a problem when it falls on us either. Researchers have found that more than 9,300 tons of space objects orbiting Earth, including inoperative satellites and chunks of spent rocket stages, increased the overall brightness of the night sky by more than 10% over a large part of the planet, creating ambient light pollution that makes distant space phenomena harder to detect. These objects also pose a threat to the International Space Station and other spacecraft carrying humans. Scientists have proposed multiple ways of tidying Earth's skies, such as gathering junk up in nets, collecting them with clawed robots, or firing a half-mile long tether that from from another spacecraft to grab it. On April 11th, the Federal Communications Commission announced that it was set up a space bureau responsible for managing orbital trash, as well as modernizing regulations in space industry. Earlier when we were actually speaking of this or whatever, I'm like, what about a magnet? What about a magnet? I mean, what would happen if we? I mean, is any of this magnetized? I really don't know what these materials that they use for everything really is. If there would be anything that would be magnetized, that you'd think there'd be some kind of electromagnetic something or other that's on these to actually be able to create a pulse to actually um, give readouts so that you could actually understand what was actually happening. Um, it's really interesting though that see we're getting down there the last 12 minutes. Uh, According to what this is saying. So this is actually supposed to re-enter the atmosphere. Why they're not actually showing where it is any longer, I have no clue. They were, but maybe it's actually gotten to the point where they can't actually track it any longer, which is weird because it's still showing a time and then showing a bunch of data to go along with it. So I'm hoping they'll actually show us a little bit more than what they are, and actually give us a little bit of a. I guess magnetism doesn't operate the same in space. I don't know. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Would there be something that because I mean, the way magnets work, polar north and south or whatever. When you use magnets, they have their own poles to them. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know. There's so many different thoughts and ideas to go along with it, trying to clean up space as opposed to allowing it to do this, to re-enter the atmosphere where people are actually looking up and they're like, oh, well, where is this going to land? When is it going to land? Is if once it re-enters the atmosphere, is it going to actually burn up and drop absolutely nothing to the ground? Will something make it to the ground, or will it just pretty much just disintegrate as it comes through the atmosphere? There's lots of different thoughts and ideas to go along with that. Instead of allowing things to decay, I don't know. I'm not the scientist. I'm really not. I'm just a guy that's sitting here, reading news and actually following things, and seeing that this is something that, to me, of interest. Where it's actually going to actually re-enter, where it's going to land, uh, if there's anything for to land. It's only 600 pounds, right? Not 6,000, 600. So I mean, it's fairly light compared to what you'd think that it would be. When I first seen the 600 myself, I'm like, really? It's 600 pounds? It doesn't, that's only like three of me, put together or whatever type thing. So it's like, it's, to me, seems fairly small for it to actually be staying out in space for as long as it is and doing the job that it was doing. Not that a small object like that couldn't do it. It just usually you think of something a little bit larger when you think of like a satellite or something. Uh, in my opinion, well, said it was only supposed to be up for 20 years, so hasn't it done its job? Potentially, but I just never would have actually thought that it would, come hurtling towards the Earth, coming back right at us or whatever within a short time frame. um, after being decommissioned. A short time frame as it is was decommissioned back in 2018, so it's been you know hurtling towards the earth for the last um, 5 years potentially. 420 tardy. Yeah, yeah. I see y'all. I was unable to actually get anything myself to actually join in, so no joining in for me. It's an old satellite used to observe solar flares, if I remember correctly. Yep, exactly. That's what it was. If you, I'm assuming you didn't catch the first few minutes of us speaking of such a thing, bro. You had a Don Lemon scene moment with the stuff falling on our heads. I never said that it was going to fall on our heads. I said that's what they're saying. I was reading news off of an article and what they're actually explaining to us, and what the potentiality of things happening. And it actually said that could hit humans, and I'm like, okay, is it gonna like pick a person and go fly right at it, or what's it gonna do? I got 3 streams up. I'm trying to watch at the same time. No, I got you. I got you. This is a prime time for a lot of people to actually be streaming, as opposed to the next few hours where I normally would stream. I felt that it was necessary to try going early to actually cover this particular event, as well as I'll cover a few other things after this does happen, if anything happens at all. If they're able to actually show us anything, if we're actually able to, see anything at all, because I mean, this looks like a digitized image of whatever is occurring. I hope that who's ever covering this off of this particular site is like they just updated this within the last 15 minutes or whatever. We'll update it again here as soon as time gets a little bit closer. 8 of you here. If you haven't already, please hit that like button, smash it, make it your friend, do all those things on the YouTube side of thing, and tell your friends where you're at. Let them know, hey, Koolfrogg's early. Koolfrogg's not waiting until 10 o'clock. He's got plans. He wants to do this early enough. Who's that? Whoever's covering in the specific site. I bet the craft is actually. You think so? Graham, come on. Blame the teleprompter. Of course. I read the article that was on the screen. Everybody's seen me read the article on the screen. That wasn't my words. Those are their words. Those are their words with their it could hit a human. Let's go. if you're not standing outside in the next 5 minutes to watch it hit you, I don't know what to tell you. It's the final countdown. Yep, last 5 minutes here. It's about ready to happen here. So like I said, I really don't know if this is going to say okay, it's re-entered. If they're going to actually have other things to show us, what they're actually going to do with it. Kind of confused at the moment on exactly what's going to happen. Voyager isn't really operational anymore. It's powered down, drifting at this point, and is not able to get enough energy from its solar panels to send back data anymore. Okay. Everyone chant DC, DC, DC. Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, you're like, of all the potential places that this could actually come down, and it could actually take anything out, where would you want it to actually, land? Well, I mean, obviously, we all are expecting it to, in my mind, expecting it to hit the ocean. The chances of it hitting land, obviously that there's a potential, but I don't see that potential actually being that. But yeah, I mean, go ahead. You know, wherever you want to chant it out to be, uh, DC or anywhere else. It can be, you know, specific. You know, if it's actually gonna select humans. There's a couple select humans that I could actually think of that I wouldn't mind it actually, you know, hitting as opposed to, you know, just hitting, you know, DC in itself. You know, DC is an acronym for decay. Yeah. Hmm. uh, to the moon. We, we watch that tomorrow. Watch that tomorrow. They're supposed to actually relaunch StarCraft tomorrow, or whatever, and we'll see if that actually occurs tomorrow. If that's not going to happen, we were supposed to watch that a couple days ago, and then they last second they went and they stopped it or whatever. But yeah, that's supposed to actually occur. I want to say I want to say it said it was 6:45 my time. If I caught that right, I believe it said 6:45 my time that they would actually be doing that launch again. So you know, we'll start a little early or whatever, and we'll see if we have enough time to you know, bring that up and actually watch that happen. Hopefully, this time it happens as opposed to being scrubbed like it was the 2 days ago. Texas weather's kind of shitty right now. I'm 2 hours away. Not looking good. For tomorrow morning, not looking good. That's that's kind of saddening. I was kind of hoping that we could actually watch that actually launch out tomorrow. That's too bad. We'll see. We'll still pay attention because you just never know if it decides to actually clear up. If they decide to do it, if it doesn't launch, they'll do another 48-hour thing or whatever. Most likely, you wouldn't see it go up. The test happened for another 2 days or so. Because in 2 days from would be Saturday. Maybe not. Maybe you'd see it on Monday. Potentially, I really don't know. We'll have, like I said, we'll be paying attention to see what actually occurs. Um, 46 seconds left on this re-enter the atmosphere thing. We'll see if that actually. I would assume that the second that timer's up, that they're gonna actually you're gonna see the screen moving around on their side or whatever. They'll be re-updating things, measuring things, figuring out where things are. Still velocities at 4.853 miles per second. Talking trash and truth with another gifted membership. Thank you, dear. You're the best. Uh, David Nelson. David Nelson gets that membership. Lurkers, awesome. I love lurkers. Lurkers are the best. Uh, Congratulations, David. Welcome to the Frog Army. If you actually use that link and actually go to the community tab, you'll actually see that there is a Discord link. You can actually get into Discord and join us there. And there, you can see the timer is actually down. So, are they going to update us? We'll we'll see. I'm going to leave that screen up. I'm going to leave that screen up over there. I'm going to actually take it down for you, and I'm going to go through some other stuff here while we wait for them to actually update things. I will keep that there and pay attention. Like I said, eventually we are gonna. I got a bunch of other stuff to go through here. Eventually, I will take us to Rumble. To Rumble. There's a couple of Koof style segments that I feel that are necessary to hit on, we will definitely do that. So anybody that's here that's listening, make sure that you pay attention. Get over to that Rumble side if you haven't already. Hit that thumbs up button for me, and don't forget to don't forget to do that. I'm gonna actually throw a link for the Rumble right there. All of you, if you haven't subscribed to that site, go ahead, subscribe to it. Like I said, we will do an exclusive after this is done. What was the remaining time? 3 minutes? No, they took the timer down. There was no more. There's no timer left. Predicted reentry. Um, this plus or minus 2 hours. So as far as that goes, it doesn't look like they're saying that it hit the majority of the 660-pound, 300-kilometer satellite should incinerate. So, and they're still saying should. So it's yeah, right, exactly, Mike. Why did they take away the little tracker? Why is it not actually re-entering? Are we not seeing a re-entry? And according to aerospace.org, still showing. See, now this is actually showing another 5 minutes plus or minus the 2 hours. I, I don't know what that really means. Plus or minus 2 hours. Oh, it happened 2 hours ago. No big deal. That's already done. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. It's kind of confusing, and like I said, I'm gonna pay attention to this site still just to see if there's anything new coming through, and even chat on that is actually saying what the heck, where there's a bunch of like good night. I guess that didn't happen. That's funny in itself. Good stuff. What? Rumble is up, right? Not. What the heck? Oh, my bad. We'll see if we can't get that up there. And of course, yeah, I didn't have it done right. So let's see if I just re-updated that. See if okay, so this is there it is. Awesome. All right, it's there. It's up. Okay, Rumble is working. For those of you that were wondering, yes, the Rumble is working now. Hey, Cat Ninja, good to see you. Go ahead and shit image. Waiting for the whole effing time for no climbing. I know, right? Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Must have been a male. Uh, I don't know. So, like I said, I do have a couple other things going on here, whatever as well. I'm gonna keep that screen up so that way I can actually pay attention to it. Other news, bunch of other things that have actually occurred within the last few days or day. There you go. House bill to require public companies to disclose use of Huawei and ZTE. So Huawei and ZTE are Chinese-owned cellular phone companies that also deal with other types of equipment, mainly cell phones. As far as that goes, disclosing any use of these products by any company it could be very interesting. If if this is actually the case, because now you have to remember from the last few weeks here that we had actually talked about, um, was it the the TikTok ban, that would actually be a really bad idea to actually do because it's just putting up virtual walls, as well as Canada's C11, which would do pretty much the same thing for Canada, which would actually take them from actually being Canadians from actually being able to see the stuff that we actually produce, to not being able to watch anything out of the United States, making VPNs an issue as well. Uh, but taking out Huawei and ZTE and saying that they must disclose use of these particular products is kind of concerning because it's like, oh, why? What were these products actually doing that would actually cause an issue? Um, so this is the House passed a bill on April 19th that would require the State Department to address the use of problematic telecommunications equipment and services by requiring publicly traded companies to disclose whether they use such equipment or services. The final vote was 410 to 8. Four Republicans and four Democrats voted against the measure. So it wasn't, it was completely and totally bipartisan as far as that goes. It wasn't a one sided, oh, we want this, the other side says no. It seems to be um, almost everybody's up for these bans from China or whatever. And actually, I as much as I would suggest people not using crap like ZTE or Huawei stuff or whatever, it's junk. It's Chinese Communist Party crap. As far as that goes, I still don't think a ban is a good idea when it comes down to it. I see bans as being uh, against your First Amendment rights, in my opinion. So I mean, when it goes against your right to actually own whatever you want or say what you want or however use the equipment you want to say it, they're actually going to limit you and tell you that you can't is really kind of dangerous in itself. Reporting shows that how Huawei and ZTE operate as vehicles for the Chinese Communist Party to commit human rights violations against the Uyghur people, conduct mass surveillance, and spread that technology to other authoritarian regimes, said Rep. Susan Wild. In a statement after the House Foreign Affairs Committee passed the bill in 2022, the Senate did not take it up. In the face of the threat, we need to redouble our efforts to protect our national security and interests, help our allies take vital measures for their own security, and stand firmly in defense of fundamental rights. Yeah, okay. Fundamental rights, huh? Thank you, Democrat. Thank you for throwing your fundamental rights at me or whatever when you don't even know your own fundamental rights. The bill would require the Secretary of State to submit a report on the prevalence of untrusted telecommunications equipment or services in networks of United States allies or partners to specific congressional committees within 180 days after the enactment of the bill, and to do so annually for the next 2 years. The committees are House Foreign Affairs, Energy and Commerce Committees, Senate Foreign Relations, and Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committees. The measure would also require the Secretary of State to also submit a report to the House Foreign Affairs Committee and Senate Foreign Relations Committees containing an assessment of the use of covered telecommunications equipment or services in the United States embassies and by United States embassy staff and personnel. So they want to actually, anybody in any embassy anywhere around the world in any, location to not use these particular products. They'd rather use something else that wasn't tied to the CCP and Muslim Uyghurs. The bill, according to Congressional Budget Office, would allow the State Department of the U.S. Trade and Development Agency to provide diplomatic and technical support to countries that are working to secure their telecommunications infrastructure. Whether the bill is taken up by the Senate This time around, or is to be determined and publicly known whether President Joe Biden would sign or veto a bill where it is where it to be sent were it to be sent to his desk. So if it was sent to his desk, would he actually sign it? Would he veto it? They really don't know. They're really kind of like, well, let's just throw something at him and see what he does. See what he does, because nobody knows what Joe Biden's doing. America's about banning, and they're destroying the country. They're absolutely destroying this country with these bans, these regulations, and everything else in between. It's really not something that we should be praising our government for doing. The bill noted that the Comptroller General of the United States has reported that 23% of all telecommunications devices manufacturers of the Department of State have at least one supplier reported to be headquartered in the People's Republic of China or the Russian Federation. At least one supplier reported to be headquartered China and Russia. In addition, the Comptroller General has reported that 4% of all telecommunications contractors in the Department of State have at least one supplier reported to be headquartered in the People's Republic of China. So they're trying to limit the use of these particular objects or devices, services out of multiple areas, and they're trying to actually uh, push it. That's a large area, large amount. The United States has reported that 23% of telecommunications device manufacturers in the Department of State have at least one supplier reported to be headquartered out of China. That's I mean, that's still a lot. One out of it really is. It's kind of disturbing that we have to actually go to these levels of banning things, these levels of removing the use of any product whatsoever. Now, I'm not for Muslim Uyghurs being treated the way they are, and I'm not for the Chinese Communist Party whatsoever. But when it comes down to it, I still say banning things is bad. Banning things is bad. This is not going to come out and be all peachy keen at the end of the day. This is actually going to cause other issues. It's going to cause lots of other issues when it comes down to it. Let's see. So there's a lot of stuff here that's for the exclusive afterward. I have to make sure that I don't. So speaking of government and what they're doing, I found this kind of interesting. I thought this guy was, doing something a little bit different. I just make sure that I'm keeping the satellite reentry in my peripheral here, trying to make sure that I still pay attention to it. Here you go. It says breaking California rep Kylie introduces a constitutional amendment requiring election of U.S. senators. An election of U.S. senators. So this is over the last week, a growing number of Democrats have been openly pressuring Senator Dianne Feinstein to resign. Since she is physically unable to return to work following being hospitalized with shingles, Feinstein, a fixture in California politics, is revered among Democrats or has until potential successor smelled blood in the water. Feinstein's term is up in 2024. It was up in 2024. It's been up for a while. Why she's even still she's 89 years old, for for crying out loud. There's no reason that she needs to be part of this at all. Uh, but she's still around, sorta. She's been out. She's been hospitalized with shingles for the better part of a couple months, it seems. But they really want to actually escort her out and replace her, because if they can actually replace her with a potential successor now, it would actually change the way the election would be held in, for 2024, as opposed to just doing some kind of a special election for it. Feinstein's term is up in 2024, and said she's not seeking re-election. She shouldn't. There's no way she should be seeking re-election. 89 years old. Stop it. There's some confusion around the statement. Democrat Rep. Katie Porter was the first to jump in the fray, and last week Republican Eric Early was the first Republican to declare his candidacy. Rep. Barbara Lee is also running, and that's what's likely behind calls for Rep. Ro Khanna, a Lee supporter, to loudly call for Feinstein's resignation. So, what's step in the way? There's a couple people that actually go step up to the plate and say, "Yeah, I'm interested." Eric Early, and then you got Rep. Barbara Lee that's saying, "Okay, let's do this. We want to run." Uh, you know, as well as Katie Porter. So you got a couple different choices that you could actually choose. But it seems as though is they do the same thing every single time. You got one Democrat going against two Republicans. Let's split the Republican vote, and guess what you're going to end up with? Stop it. You got one Republican running. Why would the other one be like, "Oh, I want to run too"? What? No, you pick one, the best one, and have them go up against Katie Porter, so that way it's an easier run. Otherwise, you do this crap and you're just like, oh well, if the Republicans that voted for one would have voted for the other, we may not have another Democrat taking the seat. But good chances are that we would actually see another Democrat taking this stupid ass seat. Um, Why it matters. The 89-year-old Feinstein has missed 58 Senate votes since she was diagnosed with shingles in February. Wow. It's been, I was thinking it was only a month, but it's been two? Interesting. Her absence has been most acutely felt by divided Senate Judiciary Committee, where Democrats are unable to advance judicial nominees who do not have Republican support. Driving the news, it's time for Senator Feinstein to resign. We need to put this country ahead of personal loyalty, Khanna said Wednesday, because becoming the first Democratic lawmaker to openly call for her to step down. If Feinstein resigns before her term ends, under California law, Governor Gavin Newsom would have the power to appoint a replacement to serve until the next general election. And that's where the issue is right there. That's where the issue is right there. And them forcing somebody to step down because they can't actually do their job is you have to look at who's the governor of the state, who's going to actually appoint this next person if it came down to it, where they needed to actually do such a thing as opposed to going into an election. If Gavin Newsom has his choice, you can almost assume whatever Democrat he decides he wants to push through there is going to be the next one. She's that old, really? Yeah, I know, right? She's freaking old. Good to see you, Rose. um, Newsom already promised to appoint there you go, a black woman to take the seat of Feinstein resigns before 2024. There you go. Since Lee, a black woman, has already declared her candidacy and has powerful endorsements, Newsom would be under massive pressure to appoint her. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to do the same thing, and the reason why we have Kamala Harris in the position. We're gonna do the same thing. You're doing exactly the same thing they did before. Ridiculous. Content of your character. That's what it's actually supposed to be. Content of your character. You can't look at somebody and actually, in good faith, say, "Yes, I like you as a person. You're a good person. I like you." As opposed to just being like, "Well, no, that's not how it works. You really seriously got to be kidding me right now." It's kind of disturbing, and when you actually think about the levels that these Democrats will actually bring themselves to actually select who they want. Newsom already appointed one of the state senators, Senator Alex Padilla, Democrat, because, of course, and he likely relishes the idea of being able to appoint another since he uses them as political patronage jobs and ways to gain DEI brownie points. California Republicans are getting weary of all the appointing, which makes the climb toward electoral relevance in the state even more difficult. Freshman Rep. Kevin Kiley, Republican out of California, has now introduced a constitutional amendment providing that the U.S. senators, like members of the House, must always be elected rather than appointed. Um, I kind of agree with them. I kind of really seriously agree with them when it comes down to it. I'd rather see that than any other. Uh-oh. Oh, that's a quick update. Here, I'm gonna pull this down real quick, and we'll go back to that. We'll go back to that in a moment. Looks as though they actually updated where RHESSI is. So then here you go. So then it looks as though I wish I could make this, freaking larger. I could actually zoom in on this crap, but of course I really can't. So then it kind of does look like it may have actually. They saying that it re-entered? Or they just showing another projection? They still have the same time frame on it for today, plus or minus the 2 hours. Um, from 20 minutes ago. So that hasn't really changed. It looks like the projections kind of changed a little bit. I'm going to actually leave that screen up while I actually go through this other, so that way we don't actually miss anything else that's updated on this. So this is elected rather than appointed. I agree with them. They should always be elected and never appointed. You should never appoint anybody for anything, especially when it comes down to um, politics. When it comes to politics, you should never seriously appoint anybody to anything. Should always be elected. Always be elected, because the second that you appoint somebody, as opposed to actually getting somebody that the people actually want there, you're getting somebody that the governor wants there, or the appointee, whoever it is that's appointing these people to these positions. I've kind of really seriously disagree um, with a lot of it. Visibility eclipsed, huh? I just don't like it. I just don't like how the fact that they'd even think that appointing somebody would be okay. Now, I get it. If somebody actually, passes away or is unable to actually do their job like immediately, and you need somebody to actually fill in the position, you may want to go with an appointed, but she's been out since February. If she can be out for a few months without an issue, Why in the world will they also now be like, oh, we need to jump on this? We need to jump on this. We need to appoint somebody now. There's nothing that's that hard pressed that they have to actually go through this and make that happen. So, Kevin Kiley, congratulations to you for actually using your brain and actually coming up with something that actually might be worth a damn when it comes down to it, and actually, making it that you have to be elected and never appointed for all seats. So it reads Section 1: no person shall be a senator from a state unless each person has been elected by the people thereof. When vacancies happen in the representation of the state in the Senate, the executive authority of such state shall issue rights of election to fill such vacancies. Section 2: this amendment shall not be so construed as to affect the election or term of any senator chosen before it becomes valid as part of the Constitution. Um, it sounds good to me. This amendment shall not be construed as to affect the election or term of any senator chosen before it becomes valid. I mean, I agree with them. Anybody should always be elected. There's no way that appointing somebody in any way, state or form should actually happen. I just don't like it, and being that it reads the way it does, would actually make it just that. This proposed amendment will almost certainly have no bearing on the Feinstein situation, but it's still something that should be given serious consideration given our current patchwork of state laws regarding the replacement of U.S. senators who have resigned or died in office, which is still even it doesn't matter where, how, or why. All senators should always be elected. It's still saying that this thing is actually moving. At an altitude about 96 miles. Interesting. So yeah, always make sure that your officials are elected and never appointed. Appointing anybody to anything, in my opinion, is never a way to go. Never ever a way to go. Now, this guy, the rhino in himself, seems to think that this is okay. That this is okay. This should be able to actually happen. Um,
Mr. President,
The Republican leader.
I want to address an extremely unusual request that our Democratic colleagues have made with respect to the Judiciary Committee. Our dear friend, Senator Feinstein, is a titanic figure, a stateswoman. Elaine and I have been honored to count the senator and her late husband, Dick, as close personal friends.
Close personal friends. Okay. Thank you, Mitch McConnell, you rhino. Thank you. Thank you so much for explaining to us that you are exactly what you are. You're a rhino, and that's what you're going to continue to do. One life saying predicted reentry in four. You seen that exactly? It's really something very interesting to actually see, and as he actually, I know that I took that down or whatever to actually play this, but I'm still watching it, and it's still looking. What are they counting? So they're plus or minus 2 hours from. I mean, they're still in plus or minus 2 hours. So, however long it takes it to actually orbit the Earth, because we all know the Earth isn't flat, right?
For many, many years. We miss our colleague.
Hey, Tweety.
We wish her the very best for a speedy recovery and a smooth return. In the meantime, our colleague's temporary absence has really not ground the Judiciary Committee to a halt. So far this Congress, the committee has reported out 40 judicial nominees. Listen to this, more than half of them on a bipartisan basis. So let me say that again. More than 24 judicial nominees have been reported out this Congress on bipartisan votes. There are more than a dozen Article III judges already waiting on the executive calendar.
So there are more than a dozen Article III judges that are already waiting for an executive calendar. So, like, they're not being able to actually do their job because there's somebody that's not there to do their job. But this rhino who's good friends with Senator Feinstein, seems to think that we should be okay, and we should be able to actually appoint who we want, so that way we can actually get the job at hand done, which would be to appoint more judges to benches and positions and whatever else.
And a whole bunch of the nominees currently in committee are likely to receive bipartisan support as well. So the administration does not face any obstacle to moving nominees who are remotely qualified for the job. People who are mainstream and qualified have a path forward. And yet some of the same far-left voices who've attacked Senator Feinstein in the past are now suggesting that the Senate move her off the Judiciary Committee indefinitely. Indefinitely.
Well, I mean, indefinitely. I mean, how much longer is it, really? I mean, do I feel that they should move her off the committee? Maybe. She's getting ready to retire in 2024 anyway. She has shingles. She's laid up. She's been laid up for the last few months. But we're concerned. We're concerned because, because of what? Are you trying to prevent people from actually being, put on committees? Are you? What is this? What is this turtle trying to do?
The stated reason, the supposed emergency, is that Senate Democrats are unable to push through the small fraction of their nominees who are so extreme, and so unqualified that they cannot win a single Republican vote in committee. So let me say it again. The far left wants the full Senate to move a senator off a committee so they can ram through a small sliver of their nominees who are especially extreme or especially unqualified.
Oh, so it sounds as though I can't understand what the fuck the turtle slurred. So basically, that's why we're all listening to it together, so we can kind of extrapolate what's actually happening. Vicky says, "Damn, shingles freaking sucks." I bet it does, and I bet it really sucks at the age of 89. um, So, I mean, it sounds like this rhino's actually trying to actually be a Republican here for a few seconds, and he's like, uh, to move senator off the committee so that they can ram through a small sliver. Um, uh, so, I mean, when he's trying to prevent them from actually doing this, so it really sounds like Democrats are actually, for actually taking her off the committee, replacing her with somebody else. Why they would actually think it would be okay to just replace him with somebody that would actually be on their side, to actually, fill in these vacancies. It could be dangerous in itself when you think about it. 89, I'm surprised she hasn't deleted herself, yet, right?
There are four main nominees that our Democratic colleagues are currently unable to move. One of them threatened an underage abuse victim while representing her prep school.
One of them was threatened.
One of them didn't know what Article 2 of the Constitution says.
Do you know what the Article 2 of the Constitution says, you freaking turtle?
One of them didn't know what a Brady motion is. And the fourth one argued that the sex offender registry, listen to this, does not help keep children safe.
Does not help keep children safe. So he's actually trying to do something good for us, and he's actually being like, no, we need to not allow this to occur. We need to allow her to actually stay in her bed and still part of this committee. If we allow anybody else into the committee, they're going to actually allow these four people to actually be selected. Now, why would they select somebody that's gonna push this stuff through? Wouldn't they? Wouldn't the committee want somebody else, or um, wouldn't some of the other senators? Because you don't just get selected for the committee. You have to actually go through a process to actually get put on a committee. It's up to the leaders. It's up to the leaders to actually do such a thing. And if he's thinking that the leader's actually going to go and appoint somebody that's going to be bad, that's going to actually go ahead and usher in these four people into these positions. One of them that thinks sex offender
Those are the
registries
four.
does not help keep children safe. I mean, it really kind of doesn't really when it comes down to it. I've seen it occur. I've when I lived in Minnesota, uh, I had received a piece of mail that actually gave me a card that said, "Hey, by the way, this particular person is moving into your neighborhood right down the street," so that way everybody knew where this person was living, because it was required of them to actually do such a thing. Now, did that protect anybody? Sure, it protected some of us, because some of us that actually paid attention to it actually said, "Oh, good, we'll just stay away from that part of the neighborhood. We won't go over there anymore." Why? Well, because this guy just so happened to be an offender that actually molested a 12, 13-year-old that was, for what it was. When you look at my 39-year-old, 5'6", 110-pound wife, doesn't other than the gray hair, doesn't look that much different body shape wise than what a 12 or 13-year-old would be, because at the same time, my 10 at that time 11-year-old daughter stood the same height as my wife. Did that protect my child and my wife? Yeah, absolutely, because now they know to stay away from that neighborhood. So registries, yeah, it does keep your children safe, but at the same time, somebody saying that it doesn't, at the same time, maybe she's telling you the truth, because when it comes down to it, if you're actually doing stuff to children, maybe you should actually be put up against the wall.
They're having a hard time moving. they're not on track to get bipartisan support. It's purely the Democratic political choice to hold the relatively more reasonable nominees hostage so the unqualified ones can move in a pack. So even though they could move a number of less controversial nominees right now, they want to sideline Senator Feinstein so they can ram through the worst 4 as well. I understand our Judiciary Committee colleagues report they cannot find a single past example where their committee let a member be temporarily replaced in this fashion that some Democrats are advocating. So let's be clear, Senate Republicans will not take part in sidelining a temporary absent colleague off a committee just so Democrats can force through their very worst nominees.
So this rhino is actually, maybe has a good point. Maybe really seriously has a good point. And when he actually says, we need to actually not allow this to occur because the person that they want to actually select for the committee would actually go ahead and push these 4 very questionable people into a position of any authority might be kind of scary. I kind of I don't agree that they should actually just replace her into a committee temporarily. They need to actually wait till she can get replaced through an election process. Looks like a turtle to me, right? Tweety says your wife sounds adorably tiny. She is. She's wonderful. That's for sure. I'm gonna actually go back and show you the other screen. This one, so you can see where it is. You can see now it's over on this side of the screen. It's over here. It's gonna come back over the United States. You can see the little dot. It's coming back over the United States. So being that it's coming back over the United States at this point in time, anybody that's out there that's paying attention, you have the chance to actually, if you can see where this line is and you can kind of think that you might be underneath it, bring yourself outside. Bring yourself outside. It says that it's let's see, it says that its altitude is currently at 94 miles. Now, 94 miles in a straight line, straight up in the air, that might still be kind of hard to see with the naked eye. But at the same time, maybe people have equipment where they can actually pick this up and actually check it out. Might be kind of surprised. So, according to what this is saying, it's currently flying over the United States as we speak. As far as Mitch McConnell goes, I think we need to actually think harder and actually get rid of him. Get rid of a whole bunch of people. There's a whole bunch of people that are very questionable. I really like the fact that he actually kind of went ahead and said that he doesn't like the fact of them replacing her in a committee to actually leave her right where she's at. Maybe why they would have to actually replace her with somebody that would actually push these 4 through, because I mean, if she's doesn't mean that if she's selected as a Democrat that needed to select another Democrat to actually do this. Maybe they should actually select a Republican that wouldn't actually allow that stuff to happen and would actually stop that from occurring. There's a small debate and it's tracking wrong, and N2YO has the right tracking. Uh, really don't know what that is. If you can actually send something to me that actually shows a different track, uh, uh, I'd be willing to actually, show that. I would totally show that. I'm gonna bring this up one more time and actually just leave this up for a moment while I actually dig around here real quick. As you can see, you see that line, that trajectory line. They're actually putting it right over the top of the United States as we speak. Um. So then, who do we do? Nancy Pelosi? Do we do Fetterman? Let's do Fetterman, I guess. We'll do this Fetterman one. I found this kind of interesting, because Fetterman's back in play. He's around. They're using him for him to do his job since this Fetterman makes fumbled first appearance back in Congress to lead food committee meeting after hospitalization for depression. I mean, is there still a lump in your neck? This is on Wednesday. Senator John Fetterman returned to the duties of chairman of the subcommittee on food, nutrition, specialty core, organics, and research. Fetterman was also calling the hearing to order, struggling with his words to introduce the topic of the day, federal food assistance funding. And he totally struggles with this.
I call to this hearing of the U.S. Senate Subcommittee on Food and Nutrition, Specialty Crops, Organics, and Research to order. Chairwoman Stabenow and Ranking Member Boozman.
Ranking Member Bozeman. Yeah, thank you. Good job. Good job calling it something that it's not.
Thank you so much for coming. I thank you for your leadership on this committee.
See, even everybody that was around kind of smiled at his failure to actually call the name out
And I
correctly.
look forward to working with you to pass a farm bill. A farm bill that works for small farmers, rural communities, and hungry Americans. I would also like to thank my ranking member, Senator Braun. I look forward to working closely with you.
I mean, really? I know that I have issues reading things at times, but this is something that you wrote, right? This is your committee. This is the committee that you're supposed to head up. You can't even call your own members of your committee correctly. You're going to sit there and you're going to be like, this clown show that we're dealing with, right? Exactly, Hagen. Rolling. There you go. Beautiful. 420 for all of you out there.
SNAP is one of the most effective programs to fight hunger and poverty in the country. In my time and effort in IFAS, as the mayor of Braddock to lieutenant governor to now, I have heard from Pennsylvanians about
What? In my time in IFAS?
my time and effort in IFAS.
My time and effort in IFAS. I have no clue what the fuck I'm saying. I'm a shill that was put into this place because Pennsylvanians are dumb as fuck and they elected me, supposedly. Allegedly. Fetterman needs to resign. I'm with you on that. I'm totally with you on that.
As the mayor of Braddock to lieutenant governor to now, I have heard from Pennsylvanians about their support for a SNAP. Hunger is not a Republican or a Democrat issue. It's all of our issue that we have to take it on.
It's not a Republican or Democrat issue. It's all of an issue. Oh, okay. You're so smart. I want to be like you someday, Mr. Fetterman. Even his assistant can hear him fumble. And he's sitting there like, what in the world? This is the shit that we're going to deal with for how long? How many years are we going to deal with this asshole?
We need to come together and stop playing political games with Americans' access to food. Americans like Chair.
I see you, Rose. She says quite a few need to resign, and it's not. There's quite a few of them that, as we actually move through this next year in through to 2024 elections, we start paying attention to all these people that are actually ready to retire. The Feinsteins, the McConnells. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. And if they can actually go ahead and make a few others like this piece of shit go ahead and resign from positions, as well as all these ones that are actually retiring all at the same time, creating a huge election wave, it could be interesting to see what comes out of that.
About Chloe George from the north to the town of Northeast in Pennsylvania. He tells me that his victim was skimming, which was when somebody stole money and he relied from its SNAP EBT. Mr. Jor is not the first Pennsylvanian I've heard this from. I fear he won't be the last. And I will work in this farm bill to modernize SNAP to work to recipients in the 21st century. I look forward to hearing from you, your witness on this nutrition assistance on the farm bill.
What? That's what I'm talking. This guy can't even say a coherent sentence. How in the world did he get elected? Fuck, Kevin, let's go. I'll run for a freaking senator's seat. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's have some fun with it. If any moron can go and do it, what the hell? Take this moron. I'll do it.
And I will now turn to Senator Braun for any opening comments that he would like to make.
So bad. Just so horrible. What is it? Okay. It kind of glitched on me on that. So I'm going to bring this back up for you. It didn't want to minimize that screen for me. So it says on Monday, Fetterman returned to the Capitol after being at Walter Reed Medical Center for 60 days, receiving treatment for depression. Fetterman also hospitalized in early February after feeling lightheaded during a Democratic retreat and was checked for possible symptoms of seizures. He was treated at George Washington University Hospital in Washington, D.C., and was later released. Fetterman checked himself into D.C. Medical Center on February 16th, with Fetterman's office at the time stating that while John has experienced depression off and on throughout his life, it only became severe in recent weeks. Sure it has. In recent weeks. This is very depressing. I got elected to be a senator of the United States. I'm so depressed. Yes, Koolfrogg, do it. Should I? I mean, that'd be kind of fun. That'd be kind of fun. Just to, even do it for a short period of time would be interesting. All the different people I'd get to meet, and maybe I could actually straighten some things out. Maybe there'd actually be something that would get passed through the Senate that people would actually like. Because nothing that's been passed in the last few years has anybody really cared for, and even through the Trump administration, it is the same way. John has experienced depression off and on, or on and off, or off and on. Let's put the off there first, so that way it seems like that's the more prevalent over the on. Let's just put that a little backwards, so that the words make it easier for people. Following a stroke suffered while the campaign trail in 2022, it is revealed that the Pennsylvania senator hears the voices of those talking to him like those from the Peanuts cartoons, and that the lawmaker uses closed captioning devices to display what is being said to him so he can read along. He can't even read. He's going to read along. He's going to read along with something somebody's trying to say off of closed captioning. So then, because he hears a wah, 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 he wants the words to actually come across the screen so that he doesn't hear the wah, wah, wah. Well, are you kidding me? How is this guy a fucking senator of anything? Get out of here. Get out of here. This is dumb. For them to actually say that because he can't hear things, he needs closed caption for everything that he actually sees. It just does not make sense. So I just looked over real quick at the NASA thing, and so now it's saying that it's at 93 miles altitude. So it is slowly descending as we speak of it, slowly, and it's past the United States. It's now over the Atlantic. Looks like the next piece of land that it would actually cross over would be South Africa, and then the edge of Australia come up and through that area. We'll continue to pay attention to that through the night here and see if we can't get you some more information as we move on. I mean, that's funner to talk about than what Fetterman was. Well, they figured Biden's president. What the fuck? I mean, we got a potato in office. Why can't we just put another piece of fruit up there? It's so bad. So bad on so many levels. Let's see. Let's do Nancy Pelosi. So, or let's not. That's disgusting. Don't touch that. There you go. Nancy Pelosi's campaign coughs up $7,500 after man sues for invasive fundraising texts. Oh, really? Now I know paid opposition. This is Fox News that actually put this up. I looked around. There's several different articles on this particular situation, and they all sounded pretty much the same. I could use almost any of them to give you the same reading. So this is a campaign for former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat of California, paid $7,500 to an Illinois man who sued her campaign for violating federal robocalling laws. Robocalling laws. Isn't that something? She's not actually paying somebody to do a job. She's allowing a robot to do it. Why is Fetterman allowed to stay in office? I don't know. Because they're like, well, it's okay. It's fine. Don't worry about it. He's just another guy. Nothing to worry about here. The men, Jorge Rojas sued Pelosi's campaign for $31,500 in October 2022, alleging that the campaign's frequent texts infringed on the Telephone Consumer Protection Act of 1991. The legislation prohibits solicitors from contacting individuals who have signed onto the Do Not Call registry, and it applies to text messages. If you go and you put yourself on a do not call, a do not message, a do not whatever, you hit no on anything, they should be disallowed from actually contacting you in any way, shape, or form ever again when it comes to, being called, especially by a robot. Rojas joined the Do Not Call registry in 2008, but nevertheless received 21 texts from Pelosi's campaign between November 2021 and July 2022, according to Business Insider. Rojas alleged that the text displayed Pelosi's malicious, intentional, willful, reckless, wanton, and negligent disregard of the law and sought $1,500 worth of damages for each text. So obviously, he didn't get all of the money because he only got paid $7,500. The report filed by Pelosi's campaign with the Federal Elections Commission included an entry for $7,500 paid to Rojas on February 21st, 2023, with the listed purpose of settlement. According to the Business Insider, Rojas officially moved to dismiss his lawsuit the following day. Pelosi's office did not immediately respond to the request for comment on the Fox News Digital. Pelosi was um, prodigious fundraiser throughout her decades of leadership, and House Democrats raking in tens of millions of donations for her and her Democratic colleagues. Pelosi stepped down from Democratic leadership following the 2022 election. However, and it's unclear whether will continue to play a pivotal role in fundraising efforts. Pelosi took her successor, Representative Hakeem Jeffries, on a tour to meet top Democratic donors in California earlier this year. Fundraising was for party members is a major part of the leadership role in the House. Speaker Kevin McCarthy's political machine raised some $500 million for his Republican colleagues in the midterm election cycle. Fundraising texts and emails have become more and more common in recent years, with campaigns frequently capitalizing on the news of the day to cash from their constituents. So it's not unheard of for any representative to go out and actually try fundraising for donations for their colleagues. It's really not. It's not new. They've been doing this forever. But went ahead and settled. I give you $7,500 as opposed to running it through courts and giving you 1,500 for each of the 21 different text messages. If you actually dismiss the lawsuit and remove it from record, so this though it's still recorded as being something that did happen, it's now in legalities isn't something that's actually there. She paid him off. She paid him off $7,500 to go away. Go ahead, and you got a point. He's breathing, so he qualified. Pelosi, she's been doing this for a long time. I said it the other day, and I believe it's still true that every single person that runs for government, that sits there as a representative of the House or a senator, maybe even the president, should wear jackets similar to NASCAR drivers. With every single representative that any company, any organization that actually represents them, and the more they actually represent, the larger the logo on their chest, on their back. They maybe not all of them have enough space on their whole jacket to cover all of them, but you're damn right they should actually show who is actually representing each and every single one of them, and why this lady thinks that it's okay for her just to pay herself out. Whatever, here, I paid you. Now go drop the case, drop the charges, so that way I can continue to commit crimes that I've always been committing. It's disturbing. It's disturbing. So let's see where are we at. Hour and a half, and we've watched this go around. So now you can see it's actually in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Go show this again. We'll continue to go back to it because that's the main topic of our night is this right here. And you can see its movement. It's moving. It's moving across the Atlantic Ocean and will actually cross South Africa in the next, given a couple hours. Netflix is ending its DVD rentals. That was one of the dumbest things they ever did. Was the DVD rentals, because you go and you'd rent them, they'd get mailed to you. They get mailed to you, and you got charged, for them, right? If you didn't send them back within a short period of time, they actually give you what they would call a fine, right? They actually give you a fee for actually not returning it in time. Now, could you imagine? I'm just giving you an example. Could you imagine that you're actually sitting there and you go and you don't have the time to actually run these discs to the post office to drop them. So next best thing, stick them in your mailbox and throw your flag up. So that way they go back, right? Well, now all of a sudden some random guy is walking down the street and he just so happens to be a jackhole. Goes and opens up your mailbox because he sees that your flag is up and takes whatever's in your mailbox and he sees that there's a couple Netflix DVDs sitting there. Closes it back up, takes the DVDs home with him. Now what? You're going to get charged those fees and fines to actually replace those discs so they can actually continue to do their thing. So for them to actually remove the DVD rental side of things, I think that might be a good thing for them. I think that might be a good thing for them in the long run, especially for the customers to actually, I mean, who doesn't use digital anyway? Just saying. I mean, I have DVDs laying around, but do I watch them? No. My wife has a hell of a lot more than I do. Does she watch any of them? No. She'll go and she'll watch Hulu. She'll watch Netflix on the TV. Why? Because she's already seen all the movies that she owns. She doesn't want to see those. She wants to actually go and watch something off. I still have a 2004 DVD because it's in storage somewhere. And that's, other issues that can come up with all that, right? MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think that's where we'll go next. So she's actually going after Swalwell. She's like, I'm back in this committee and I'm going to continue to do what I originally started doing. And I'm going to push for this to actually happen. MP4 movies are easy to find on Pirate Bay or Kick-Ass. Exactly. There's so many different digital platforms that you can go and you can watch your movies on. It really is. It's super simple. MTG Bears Fangs throws House meeting into chaos over Swalwell's sexual relations with this Chinese spy. So she's bringing up some old stuff. She's bringing up some old stuff that Swalwell had done in the during Trump administration even. All hell broke loose during the Homeland Security Committee meeting on Wednesday when Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene accused Rep. Eric Swalwell of having a sexual relationship with the Chinese spy. He didn't now? It's just accusations? Really? Since when? Since when? There's an awful lot of people that know about Fang Fang. Just saying. Quote, that was quite entertaining for someone that had a sexual relationship with a Chinese spy, and everyone knows it, Green said, kicking off her 5 minutes of allotted time. That's an awesome sentence to start it with. It's quite entertaining for someone to have sexual relationship with a Chinese spy, and everyone knows it. It's this isn't just like one person knows it, and you know that you can actually get away with it because you got a big D after your name. Nah, that's not how it works. You did it. You did it, and you shouldn't be on a committee like this if that's the case. New York Democrat Daniel Goldman immediately offered a motion to have her words taken down, which would strike them from the official hearing record and bar her from speaking further. The committee's GOP majority voted to table the motion, and Miss Green was permitted to resume speaking. So there's a little video here.
Our rhetoric and to denounce anti-Semitism and anti-police rhetoric in this country so that Jewish Americans and police officers can be safer?
Congressman, I do.
Thank you, and I yield back.
The gentleman yields, and now I recognize the gentlelady from Georgia, Miss Green.
That was quite entertaining from someone that had a sexual relationship with a Chinese spy, and everyone knows it. But
I move to take her words down.
Completely inappropriate. Yeah, stand by just a second while we research the rule. Give me just a second.
Please stand by while we research the rule to see if we can actually get her words actually struck or not. Well, guess what? They're permanent. These aren't something that you can just listen take away because you're like, oh, it didn't happen. That's wrong of you to actually accuse him of something that we all know he did. Really?
I need to make sure I have my full 5 minutes.
Right. You can't unhear that. There's 0 things that can be unheard there. You've heard what came out of her mouth, and she knows just as well as you and I know that Swalwell did something that he shouldn't have done. Slept with a Chinese spy in Fang Fang. Thank you. That's what happened. Let's whisper about it. Let's whisper about it and make sure that, it's between you and me, that we get these words removed. Let's remove it. Take them down. I don't like what she had to say about it. Now give her 5 minutes. Let's go.
A motion has been made. The gentleman will, the committee will suspend, and the gentleman will state the words that he wishes taken down.
Okay, what did you hear? Repeat those words for me. Come on, say them for me. Let me know exactly what it was that you thought that you heard her say, so that we can remove them. If you actually screw it up and you say the words wrong, no, it's not going to happen. So there you go. Now, straight out tell Swalwell what he did.
Everything that the gentlelady from Georgia has said.
No.
No, that's not how it works, bro. Which words would you like struck? You have to actually remember what she said for them to get struck. That's how it works. It's not as simple, oh, well, I just want everything that she said taken down. Nope. Repeat exactly what she said. Repeat it. Repeat it so we can all hear it yet one more time what he had done.
You need to be more
The
specific.
accusations of an affair with a Chinese spy, those are engaging in personalities, and those words should be taken down, and the gentlelady should not be able to speak anymore in this hearing.
That is not the latter part of that is not an appropriate motion, but we will evaluate the striking of those words.
It is not appropriate on what you actually just asked us to do, but we'll evaluate it anyway. It's not appropriate. The guy came around around the table and actually got up in his face. That's not appropriate.
Give me just a second.
Just a few seconds. Just a few seconds. Not much there. Exactly. To be clear, she said, what a nerd. He wanted her silenced for the rest of the day.
The chair recognizes the gentlelady from Georgia and asks if she would like to retract those words.
No, I will not.
Yes, exactly. No, I will not. No, I will not. No, don't ever go back on something that if you say something, yep, you said it. You said it, and that's exactly what it is. Now, when it comes to, saying things and people hearing things on what you said, you go back and you actually listen to what was said, and you can actually hear exact words. You can hear exact words. That's how it works. Few more seconds. Let's think about this. I really like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I really do. I really hate the fact that she actually, stepped to the point of actually making it okay to appoint McCarthy so that way she could get her committee seats back. But at the same time,
For those members who are wondering, we are looking into Clause 1 of Rule 17 and the rules of the House.
we have to actually dig into this a little closer. We need to look at the words that are in the clause to actually know exactly what it says, as to actually get this through correctly, that her words that were said should be repeated over and over again. Shh, be quiet. There's so many people in that room and they're also freaking quiet. Let's whisper at each other. Her tactics are going to get her silenced in a Clinton way. Yeah, well, let's hope not. Let's hope not. I mean, I'm with Beautiful on that one. I said what I said. Okay, that's how it is. Said what I said. Go with it, because you're not gonna convince
Okay,
her
the chair
that
rules
didn't
that
happen.
those words that were spoken are not going to be stricken from the record.
Are not going to be stricken from the record. Not a single word will be struck from that record. Everything that she said will stay, and exactly right there at 357. The truth motherfucking hurts. It hurts when that happens, because you know what? She spoke the freaking truth. If he doesn't like it, go ahead, prove it. Prove it. Let's go, asshole. You know what you did.
Chair,
The gentleman,
Mr. Chairman,
the gentleman from Mississippi is recognized.
I don't think there's any question about what the gentlelady said. I've been on this committee from day one. We've never had an accusation made of any member like that. and I'm appalled at it. We all ought to be embarrassed at it. We are a better committee than what the gentlelady is trying to make of this committee.
We're a better committee than what this gentle lady is trying to actually make of the committee. No, you're not. Don't lie to me. No, you're not. You're not better than that. You're a big D Democrat, and you're not going to tell me that you don't. Fuck off, Mr. Thompson. So let's get back to the article. So Danielle, member for 2 months with a big heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's go back to this article and let's check out what it actually says here. So there's the video that we just played. So this is Swalwell allegedly banged an alleged Chinese spy who helped him fundraise in 2014 after the FBI briefing on the woman, and the top Democrat said he cut all ties with the woman, Christine Fang, also known as Fang Fang. Oh, yeah, there you go. Oh, you severed all ties with her, huh? Okay. The relationship caused then House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy to call for Swalwell's removal from Congress, asking Fox News host Laura Ingraham, why is he still on the Intel Committee and why is he still a member of Congress? McCarthy noted that the Intel Committee has access to information that no one else does. Of course, they're the Intel Committee, the Intelligence Committee. Oh, go figure. Remember what the Intel Committee gets information that's no other members are able to see. And remember what the member did. He was so preoccupied going after his president, he was not protecting our country from bad actors.
And the revelations about China's attempts to manipulate Congressman Eric Swalwell are particularly eye-opening given his stance as a prominent Russia hoaxer.
I saw collusion, from the very
Probably a trans spy. Fang Fang, China looks like a 12-year-old child. Bang bang hashtag gang gang. I love y'all. You're all so funny.
very beginning when, they were so eager to work with the Russians.
You believe that President Trump still is an agent of Russia. What do you mean by that?
He acts on their behalf. Our country has seen just an influx of Russians into our political bloodstream, and that's something that did not exist until Donald Trump came on the scene.
Those defamatory, slanderous, idiotic comments alone should disqualify him from sitting in the House Intel Committee. But now we know he's actually susceptible to Chinese manipulation. So is it time to boot him off that committee? And again, consider a law that says if you've profited off of or been manipulated by the Chinese government, how can you ever work in elected office again or for the government? Joining me now is House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Congressman, people might not think committee positions are very important. It might seem like a very
Now, you have to remember, this is back from a few years ago. This isn't something that happened today off of Fox News. This is just something just to reiterate that, Swalwell actually did do something.
micro issue. But how important is this story vis-a-vis our relationship
Did
with
she
China and what they're trying to
swallow
do here?
This is only the tip of the iceberg, because remember what we're hearing. These are Chinese spies that go down to the level of a mayor. They court and help a city council member become a congressman. This congressman now gets on the Intel Committee. They are only selected from the Intel Committee by the leaders of their party, meaning Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi is one of the Gang of Eight, along with myself. Did Nancy Pelosi know this had transpired when she put him on the committee? We have our Senator Dianne Feinstein, for 2 decades, the personal assistant that hear all the private phone calls in the car and others, a Chinese spy. Why did the
A Chinese spy listening to a awful lot of stuff. Her name is Fang Fang or Christine Fang. Yes, exactly. That is her name.
Democrats pull out of the bipartisan China task force I had set up? Why did Speaker Pelosi pull out of that? Why have they denied certain bills that would hold China accountable that have passed the Senate not come to the floor? Why do they focus on Silicon Valley members of Congress? Why is he still on the Intel Committee, let known why is he still a member of Congress? Did Adam Schiff know, as chairman of that committee, that he had this problem? Remember what the Intel Committee gets: information that no other members are able to see. And remember what this member did. He was so preoccupied going after this president, he was not protecting our country from bad actors. When he questioned Comey,
Yeah.
he literally set up the questionnaire of what happened to him.
Right.
Could an individual come in? Yes.
Yeah, this was Congressman. This was all holding up the shiny object.
So this is back before Fox News. Oh wait, never mind. They were still paid opposition. So I mean, you can hear all the words that are coming from you. He's like, this is just wrong. It's wrong. He allowed bad actors in to actually take over and control things. And when you actually have a person that's going to sit there and listen in on everything that's actually happening with multiple different people, including Dianne Feinstein that we've already spoke of, it really seriously makes you think about what in the world are these people doing, and why is it okay for them to actually continue to get away with it? It just doesn't make any sense. I don't really. So these are all Koolfrogg related. I got 6, 7 different ones that are related to that particular stuff. Let's do, before we actually kick out over to there, I got a few other articles of some interesting happenings here in the States. That maybe just need a few words, so because you just never know. Never know who didn't hear about some of this stuff. Here you go. Breaking: explosion rocks downtown Seattle. Hazmat crews and bomb squads deployed. So all thinks that Fang Fang started before 2015. I mean, that's probably because that was in 2018 that they finally picked it up and actually realized what was going on. And they actually said that as mayor, as a person that was actually, sitting with them or whatever, driving around with the likeness of Dianne Feinstein, in hearing anything and everything that was coming out of her as well. What kind of information did China actually pick up from this? I bet there's an awful lot of information out there. And for Marjorie Taylor Greene to actually step up to this to the plate and actually, straight out in committee say those words and actually not get them struck down, I'm all good with that. Mitch McConnell's married to his Chinese citizen. Yeah, I know, right? I know, right? Do you remember? Do you remember the Evergreen when it was actually stuck in the Suez Canal? Who was actually part of that? Do you know who? Do you remember who actually owned that particular company? Mitch McConnell. You can actually sit there and wonder about a lot of things. When it comes down to it, you can pick and choose on who you think is actually the better of the two. And Mitch McConnell, we've called him a rhino from the beginning. We believe that he's a piece of shit in himself. Just saying. That's how that works. I know. I'm not for Mitch McConnell either. Mitch McConnell needs to be gone and should have been gone a long time ago. He's one of the probably richest guys up in those seats right now. I would almost think that he would probably be one of the more richer guys out of the bunch. Just saying. I don't think that he's worth a damn. I think McConnell needs to go away. Kentucky keeps reelecting McConnell because they don't know how to not reelect McConnell. Again, I'm totally with you on that one, Tweety. McConnell's a piece of crap and he needs to go away. 2024 is going to be awfully interesting when it comes down to it. When we actually realize how many House representatives, how many senators, how many are actually retiring, trying to switch positions because I don't remember which one it was, but there's a senator out of New York that's actually stepping down, retiring. So then you have the likeness of somebody like AOC who says that she's going to run for that Senate seat, which leaves her running for a Senate seat, which means she has to vacate her current House seat first before she can run for the Senate seat, which means that there's another person that's going to be looking for that House seat. There's so much that's going to be happening within the next year and a half here. We're really, really going to be surprised to actually see who, what, and where. It's really something. What the fuck? Seattle? Yeah, right? Exactly. Let's hit this up here real quick. So this is please confirm reports of an explosion in Seattle, Washington on Wednesday. An explosion occurred about 9:30 a.m. The Seattle Police Department said crews evacuated the building in which the explosion occurred in the basement. No active fire was found at the scene. A hazmat crew is also responding. Police told KOMO News that officials are working to defuse a device that was found on scene. Fire crews have established a 1-block perimeter around where the blast occurred, where only officials are allowed to cross. So there's a couple of videos and stuff, and we'll go back and we'll look at some of it. So there's one person was taken to hospital in serious condition. Huh. Just the one person, huh? Bomb squad working to defuse a second device. So, there's multiple devices? Okay, and we'll go back up. We'll actually watch these videos. You can see they got a rope at this end of the block. There's the fire truck at the other end of the block, as well, or a couple fire trucks at the other end of the block. So you got a ladder truck and you got another rig sitting over there. All right. So then a very large response. So this is police confirm reports of an explosion in downtown Seattle. Bomb squad working to defuse a second device. Come on, play it from here. Maybe that one won't play. That one wants me to actually go to Twitter to watch. There's somebody sitting up in their apartment looking down and over this fairly large building. Kind of an interesting ordeal, something that I'll continue to actually look into to see if there's anything more, see if I can actually find an actual explosion. Somebody actually caught something on camera. There's multiple cameras almost everywhere. They haven't released anything that I'd seen to actually, where you could actually hear the explosion or hear or see any other things other than these firefighters walking from one end of the block to the next, and show that everything's all barricaded off, and nobody's allowed to actually go through there. the hustle and bustle of a large city like that or whatever, you'd almost think that would put a big wrench into things or whatever, disallowing movement of cars, buses, bikes, and whatever else through this area. Um, like I said, I'll keep watching and paying attention to this particular subject or whatever, and we'll bring you more details within the next day or so. Um, it is something that I find kind of interesting, so we will do more with it. Um, kind of interesting as it is. So, and I know what this is. So as far as this goes, there's a good chance because it's a song that I'll have to actually edit the song for it to actually do anything. Maybe I'll just leave it. Maybe I won't, I see that there's a couple of thank you again, T3, for those 7 memberships that are out there. 7. I thought there was only. Oh, right. Beautiful did one. I was thinking there's only 6, but yeah, there's 7. So, as far as that goes, maybe I'll just leave it in and not actually edit it out. So this guy here, it's kind of an interesting ordeal. It kind of goes along with some crap that we've actually been seeing lately. But the likeness of Dylan Mulvaney, you can see that it says country superstar Riley Green refuses to sing Bud Light lyrics and changes them to Coors Light. So then there's a better video down below that actually you can actually see him singing and you can hear it better. So this country sensation Riley Green just made a bold move that had his Nashville audience going wild. During his Friday night performance in the Nissan Stadium, the 34-year-old singer decided to drop Bud Light from his lyrics in his hit song, I Wish Grandpa's Never Died, and replaced it with Coors Light. The man knows his audience. The controversial decision came after Anheuser-Busch sponsored deal with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney sparked outrage amongst consumers of the beverage. In response, Green decided to give a shout out to Coors and their loyal fans who have been celebrating the company's recent stock surge of nearly 9%. Fans and followers of the There Was a Girl singer were quick to show their support on social media. And you can see there's people that actually, showed their support on social media, posted it everywhere. It says, meanwhile, Anheuser-Busch CEO Brendan Whitworth issued a somewhat apologetic statement. That's not an apologetic statement. It's either you apologize or you don't. You don't get to somewhat do something. That's not how it works. He said that the company never intended to divide people and that they were in the business of bringing people together over a beer. The company even tried to make a patriotic ad to counter the backlash, although it seems to be too little too late. As for Riley Green, who knows what he'll do next, but he can be sure that his fans will be cheering him on every step of the way. Who do you think will be the next artist to speak out against the Bud Light controversy? So here we go. Let's play the song. Zoom this out a little bit. Cars and trumpets, and the road was named Copperhead, and colors never run out of cold Coors Light. You could hear it. You could hear him actually change the words from cold Bud Light to cold Coors Light. That audience just screams for him. And road drinking kids never got caught because the price of gas was up and cotton was high. I wish honky tonks didn't have no closing time.
How his grandpa never died.
He knows his audience. He knows damn well that that audience like totally was for him to do this. There's no way that he was gonna say anything good about Bud Light. It makes me smile when I actually see people actually do such a thing where they're not afraid to actually go against the bullshit, the bullshit of putting somebody like Dylan Mulvaney on a freaking beer can. It's not something that should have ever been, right? It's kind of wow. It's kind of exciting to actually see such a thing. Tweety says fireworks in Seattle. It sounded like there was an actual explosion in the basement. Seems like the Seattle has a lot of serial killers and political radicals. I mean, yeah, possibly, but what we're gonna do now that we're 2 hours and 10 minutes in is we're actually going to. I'm gonna actually bring up one more time the main story here. We'll bring up the satellite hurtling through space. You can see they kind of updated it, whatever. The last time we seen it, whatever it was down around South Africa. So now it's gone down and around, come back around to the other side, and it's now getting ready to cross over northern Africa, over interesting, over Afghanistan, over India, back down over top of Australia. We'll bring this up again. So then see what is its projection at the moment? So altitude still 94 miles. So it's slowly descending as it's hurriedly running around this globe that we live on. Velocity is 4.858 miles per second. So I mean it's still moving fairly quick. And it's going to continue to move itself around the globe until it actually splashes down somewhere. I say splashes down somewhere because I'm really not thinking this is actually going to hit land. If it does hit land, it'd be very interesting. They already know exactly where it will re-enter the atmosphere. Well, it sounds like it's already re-entered the atmosphere. It's that it's actually it's past that, and it's actually still hurling itself around the earth. It's lower than. Wait a minute here. I don't want to lie. Earth's atmosphere stretches from the surface of the planet to as far as 10,000 kilometers or 6,214 miles above. So it's within the atmosphere. It's saying altitude's at 93 miles. So it is within the atmosphere. It has re-entered. It should be a ball of flame, spinning around the Earth. Will it just immediately drop? No, it won't. It's too much of a projected path or whatever for it to actually continue. It's not going to just immediately listen, just plunge into the ocean or anywhere else for that matter. It's going to take a little bit of time yet. It should be. You can see that plus or minus 2 hours is still there. And it's going off of a coordinated universal time. The UTC. which is Greenwich Mean Time out of England. So, you can see it says 037 according to that. So shortly after midnight there, which would be do I remember that right? Is it 7 hours different from here? Or 7 hours different from the East Coast? I know there's a bunch of Chad's smart, so I know Chat will actually fix me on that one or whatever. That being said, you can see where it's actually at, and you can see that it's actually still doing its thing. We're gonna watch its projections and see where it actually does end up. Hopefully, by the time we come back here for waking up tomorrow morning, it should actually have done it what it's supposed to do, and we'll actually hear where it actually hit. I'm doubting that this is going to occur within the next hour or so as I make it through this last bit. Now, if you haven't already, UK +1, -1. My bad. Huh? I was trying to come up with local time for the United States. Not like 7 hours, so it'd be what? 6 hours difference from the East Coast? Just to give us a rough estimate, within the next plus or minus 2 hours or whatever. So, according to what it's saying. Now it's saying altitude's back at 94 miles, so it's kind of as well as it's spinning around the globe, it's also going up and down. It's also going up and down a little bit as it's coming around. So, it could take some time for this to actually finish itself off, and it could also be fairly quick. It could happen faster than we think. If you haven't already, please make yourselves over to Rumble. We'll actually go over there. One of you? What? There's at least 2 of you talking, so I don't believe that it says what it says when it says there's 1 of you watching. Make yourself over to Rumble. We're going to actually speak of some stuff that we can't speak of here. I looked at a converter and I'm like, it's telling me that UTC time is the local time in Greenwich, England. So the difference between here and there is 6 and 7 hours. Just saying. So still within the next hour or two is projecting it to actually finish spinning or hurtling itself around the earth, and it should actually plunge into the earth at some point in time. We just don't know exactly when or where. Stay with us. Again, we're going to actually make ourselves over to Rumble, and we're going to actually speak of some other things like the Koof, because speaking of Koof is always fun to do, and it's better than doing it here on the YouTube. So hit that link, go bring yourself over to Rumble. All of you over here on the YouTube side, thank you so much for being here. It's 420. Yep, hit that up. Perfect timing. Thank you. Thank you, beautiful. So it's actually 420 for him right now. It's 9:20 p.m. for me. So yeah, look, I was right. 7-hour difference from me. Yep, Rumble. Make yourself over there. Hit that link. Bring yourself there. I'm going to actually shut off the YouTube side. Thank you, YouTube, for being here. Love you all so much. Later.